you guys haven't heard, Dana White has made a lot of announcements that we want to get to, a lot of big fight news from around the octagon. So let's get to this first story, and that is that Ilia Topuria, the former featherweight champion, is actually going to be facing Charles Oliveira, the former lightweight champion, for the vacant lightweight title that Islam Makhachev has vacated. That is happening on June 28th at UFC 317. Alan, what do you make of this matchup? Because we thought maybe we were going to see Topuria versus Makhachev.
We thought we were going to see that. We had to wait and see what happened last weekend with the Bilal fight. Didn't go the way for Bilal. Islam is going to be moving up. Insert Charles Oliveira, one of the most exciting fighters we have ever seen. The longtime champion has an opportunity to get his belt back, but he's doing it against Ilia Topuria. In my opinion, the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. When you look at the skill set, to be able to knock out Volkanovski, to be able to knock out Max Holloway. He's so good on the feet. He's phenomenal on the ground. What happens if this fight goes to the ground? It's going to be fireworks, but I do really love this matchup.
I mean, listen, in terms of exciting fights, I think what we've seen is Topuria trying to track people down. He bides his time. He's cutting people off. He's getting his reads, and then he unloads. He's not going to have to search for Charles Oliveira. Charles Oliveira fights with a lot of pressure. He fights moving forward. He doesn't know how to fight any other way. I think from the first bell, this is going to be absolute chaos. And I'm excited to see some of those exchanges on the feet. Charles Oliveira, I think, is still underrated in his striking. I hear he's got crazy heavy hands. You hear guys tell horror stories about what it felt like to fight Charles Oliveira. And the grappling abilities of both are phenomenal. I think all around the board, this is an amazing fight.
So there's a few things to talk about, though. Topuria and Makhachev have gone at each other vocally. He said Islam is a hypocrite because he's trying to do the same thing. He's trying to move up and gain a new title. He wouldn't give Ilia the chance to do that. And also there's a guy named Arman Sarukian who could also have fought for the title.
Yeah, I understand that there's a lot of different ways that this could have gone. And I know that Topuria is upset because he wanted to fight Islam Makhachev. Yeah. But I think if we're going to defend Islam at all, I think it needs to be that he's given two opportunities already for the smaller guy to come up. And then he wins both times over an amazing fighter in Alexandre Volkanovski. But he never gets the credit that maybe he quite deserves because it's the guy that's always moving up. I think that there's always going to be the back and forth of who defended more, and there was more left to do. Mm-hmm. I have amazing respect for Ilia Topuria and his defenses against Max Holloway and Alexandre Volkanovski. But you can also argue that that's a Volkanovski that has had some tough fights and been on a long road, and a Max Holloway who's absorbed more significant strikes than anybody in the entire UFC. So I get the argument, but I want to see Islam have the opportunity to move up and get another title. I think if to me, legacy means something to Islam Makhachev. He talks about it all the time. I think having two titles or two different belts, maybe not at the same time, but being able to be the lightweight champion and the welterweight champion means a lot to him in terms of his legacy. And if he wants to do that, who am I to tell him he can't?
The problem that I have in this situation is you say the word legacy, which is obviously with a lot of these guys, Ilia Topuria and Islam as well. That's what they're looking at. They want to say, what's the biggest fight that I can make? What could make my legacy to be on that list of Mount Rushmore? And you look at the guys on Mount Rushmore. You look at John Jones, 13 title defenses, Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, 11 title defenses, so on and so on. He needs more title defenses, in my opinion, Islam Makhachev. If he would stay in the division and clean it out, and then he would be a guy that would maybe be on that Mount Rushmore, but jumping to another division, you get the thought of the quick money, right? The champ, the double champ, but he's not going to have two belts. He vacated his belt. Now he's going up a division, and I feel like strike while the iron's hot. I feel like the biggest fight that you can make, aside from John Jones and Tom Aspinall, would have been Ilia Topuria versus Islam. He missed out on that one. We get a fantastic fight of him going up to welterweight. It's going to be a real interesting match, especially seeing how well Jack Della Maddalena was able to fight against Bilal Muhammad, how he was able to stuff those takedowns. And now Islam is not going to be the bigger guy in the division, right, going up to welterweight. So it makes it very intriguing, but I think Ilia wanted to fight that for his legacy. I think that was a missed opportunity for Islam's legacy.
Yes, and that is the thing. Now that Bilal lost, that is what gave Islam the motivation to move up. And we will see, most likely he will be fighting JDM at some point later this year. But let's take a look. Second story, that same night, guys, in the co-main event, flyweight champ Alexandre Pantoja will defend against Kai Kara France. That is the 317 co-main event. Anthony, this is a great matchup.
I love any of these flyweight title fights. And seeing Kai Kara France get his opportunity for undisputed gold just seems like it's the right time and the right place. He looked phenomenal in his last fight. He's got fire in his hands. He just seems to really be streaking right now. And Alexandre Pantoja is just an absolute monster. He's must-see TV. Anytime these guys fight, I'll watch it, even if it was 10 times in a row.
Kai Kara France, such sharp hands, fast hands, knockout ability. Pantoja, one of the most well-rounded guys we've ever seen in the division. What I love about this matchup, it's a fresh matchup. The flyweight division has had so many matches and rematches and trilogies and 4 fights in a row. Now we get a fresh matchup that we all seem to love. What an opportunity. Reinier comes into UFC just recently, has 3 fights, 3 wins, upsets Bo Nickel, and now he gets a chance to fight for the former champion and Robert Whittaker. We know what happens. If you beat Robert Whittaker in the past, every man who has beaten Robert Whittaker has then gone on to fight for the belt and win the belt as a champion. That's how much they see in Reinier Whittaker. Huge opportunity. I'm not quite sure he's ready for it, if I'm being honest, Anthony, but a huge opportunity in his career.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sold on where Ritter is in terms of his title implications and the aspirations. But I think Alan said he upset Bo Nickel. This is no disrespect to Bo Nickel at all, but he beat a guy with 6 professional fights, and he's a phenomenal wrestler. And I think that he is going to eventually find himself in title eliminators or a title fight even. But I just don't think that Bo Nickel is there yet. I think that this is the true test. This is where we're going to figure out where we really slot him in the division. And I think this is a good test for Robert Whittaker to really figure out, is he still that guy that can go and fight for the title, maybe be turned away and then beat every single person other than the champion and then find himself back there again. It's another one of those opportunities for Robert Whittaker to kind of turn the clock back a little bit and prove who he really is. All
right, well, that is, of course, in the middleweight division, July 26th. And another middleweight, of course, we're talking the champ, DDP, Du Plessis, will be facing 14-0, Khamzat Chimaev. This will be his 3rd defense. This is at UFC 319, August 16th in Chicago. The Go getting another fight. We haven't been there in a minute. Anthony, what do you make of this matchup? Because, of course, last time we saw the champ, he was defeating Strickland again, and we saw Chimaev with Whittaker.
Yeah, Du Plessis has just proved time and time again that even us as analysts, maybe we don't know always what we're looking at, but he's really solidified himself as one of the greatest middleweight champions we've ever had. He beat Sean Strickland twice. He beat Israel Adesanya. I mean, he's really consistently gotten better and better every single time we see him out there. And now I think a year ago, if you would have asked who I thought was going to win this fight, I would have said Khamzat Chimaev, no question. Now there's a lot of questions. I don't think anyone is as sure as maybe we would have been a year ago or even 6 months ago. I think that the story is going to be, it's going to be Khamzat Chimaev early, and if he can weather the storm, then DDP takes over late. But I don't know that that's even true. I think that DDP can take over right away and really make this tough for Khamzat right out the gate.
I don't know. I don't know. Does he take over right away in the early going against Khamzat Chimaev? That's to me, I think you said it earlier before that, Chimaev in the early going, right? Mm-hmm. And for Chimaev, if he really is going to be championship quality material, he needs to show us that he can go 5 rounds. Because if he's not able to get DDP out of there in the first and the second, DDP is going to pour it on strong, well-rounded, strong physicality in that fight. If he can't choke him out early, how does he deal with the 3rd, 4th, and 5th round? That's where we're going to see what he's really made of.